Have you ever felt like no matter how much money you make, it's never enough? Maybe you've finally gotten that raise, only to find yourself still living paycheck to paycheck. Or perhaps it's those unexpected expenses, car repairs, medical bills that always seem to hit at the worst time, leaving your carefully planned budget in ruins. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. The truth is, budgeting isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about controlling the things that threaten to derail your financial stability. Today, we're going to talk about the two biggest budget killers: lifestyle inflation and irregular expenses, and how you can stop them before they take over. But let's start with something we can all relate to. Think about how many times you've felt that small sense of relief when you see a little extra money in your account. Maybe it's from a bonus, a side gig, or even a tax refund. For a brief moment, you feel like you're ahead of the game. You might even make plans for that extra money, finally booking that vacation or buying something you've been eyeing for months. But then it happens. That money disappears faster than you anticipated. Suddenly, your bank account looks the same as it did before, and you're left wondering where all that extra income went. If you've experienced this cycle, you're witnessing lifestyle inflation in action. Now let's dive into lifestyle inflation, or lifestyle creep. The term itself sounds harmless, but the consequences can be significant if you don't keep it in check. Lifestyle inflation is the tendency to increase spending as your income rises. It's the subtle shift that happens when you start earning more, and without even realizing it, you allow your expenses to grow with your income. Think about it. You might start by celebrating a new job or a raise with a nice dinner or a shopping spree. After all, you deserve it, right? But then what begins as an occasional treat can easily become part of your everyday routine. You might decide to upgrade your car or move into a bigger apartment. Maybe you start dining out more often or investing in a wardrobe that reflects your new status. At first, it feels like a reward for all your hard work, and in some ways it is. But the problem comes when these rewards turn into expectations. Soon, the things you once considered luxuries start to feel like necessities, and before you know it, your expenses have caught up to or even surpassed your increased income. What's particularly dangerous about lifestyle inflation is that it's so gradual. You don't wake up one day and suddenly double your expenses. Instead, it happens over time, in small, seemingly harmless increments. And while you may feel like you're living more comfortably, you could also be losing the opportunity to build real financial security. So, how can you prevent lifestyle inflation from creeping into your budget? The first step is awareness. Simply being mindful of your spending habits and recognizing when they start to change can go a long way in stopping lifestyle inflation in its tracks. When you receive a raise or any additional income, it's crucial to pause and think before you spend. Ask yourself, do I really need this? Or is there a better use for this money? One helpful approach is to automate your savings. As soon as you get paid, set aside a portion of your income for savings or investments before you even have the chance to spend it. This way, you're building your financial future before lifestyle inflation has the chance to take over. You could also make a habit of living on your previous income, even when you earn more. This strategy allows you to save and invest the difference, accelerating your path to financial freedom. Setting long-term financial goals is another key defense against lifestyle inflation. Whether you're saving for a home, a new business, or early retirement, having clear, specific goals will help you resist the temptation to spend on things that don't align with your bigger picture. With a strong sense of purpose driving your financial decisions, it becomes easier to say no to unnecessary purchases. While lifestyle inflation creeps up on you over time, irregular expenses tend to hit you all at once. These are the unexpected or infrequent costs that don't fit neatly into your monthly budget. Think of things like car repairs, annual insurance premiums, home maintenance, or even holiday shopping. The problem with irregular expenses is that they're often unpredictable, but they can still wreak havoc on your finances when they arrive. One common mistake is thinking that irregular expenses aren't part of your regular budget just because they don't happen every month. But the reality is, they're inevitable. You know that sooner or later your car is going to need repairs or your home is going to require maintenance. It's not a matter of if these expenses will come up, but when. The best way to prepare for irregular expenses is by creating sinking funds. A sinking fund is a dedicated savings account where you set aside a small amount of money each month for a specific future expense. Instead of being blindsided by a $1,200 car insurance bill, for example, you could plan ahead by setting aside $100 each month in a sinking fund. Then when the bill comes due, you've already saved the money and it doesn't throw your budget into chaos. Sinking funds can be used for a wide variety of irregular expenses, from vacations to medical bills. The key is to anticipate these costs in advance and plan accordingly. By breaking them down into smaller, manageable amounts, you avoid the stress of having to come up with a large sum of money all at once. But what about true emergencies? Those expenses that you can't predict or plan for? This is where an emergency fund comes into play. Unlike a sinking fund, which is for planned expenses, an emergency fund is your financial safety net for life's unexpected surprises. Whether it's a sudden job loss, a medical emergency, or an urgent home repair, an emergency fund gives you the financial cushion you need to weather the storm. How much should you have in your emergency fund? A good rule of thumb is to aim for 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This may sound like a lot, but think of it as insurance for your financial security. If you lose your job or face a major financial setback, an emergency fund can help you avoid going into debt or depleting your savings. Building an emergency fund doesn't have to happen overnight. Start small and contribute to it consistently. Even setting aside a little bit each month can add up over time, and if you do face an unexpected expense before your emergency fund is fully built, try to cover as much of the cost as possible without resorting to debt. Remember, the goal of an emergency fund is to protect you from having to take out high-interest loans or rely on credit cards in times of crisis. Another important point to keep in mind when dealing with irregular expenses and emergencies is to avoid panicking. When you're hit with an unexpected financial challenge, the natural reaction is to feel overwhelmed. But instead of rushing to make decisions, take a step back and assess the situation. Ask yourself, is this truly an emergency, or can it wait? If it is urgent, review your budget and see where you can temporarily cut back to free up some extra cash. If you need to dip into your emergency fund, don't feel guilty. It's there to be used in situations just like this. And if you don't have enough saved to cover the entire expense, consider negotiating a payment plan with the service provider or exploring other low-interest loan options. The key is to avoid taking on unnecessary high-interest debt. So, how can you keep track of all of these financial strategies? It all comes down to one thing: actively monitoring your budget. It's not enough to create a budget and forget about it. You need to revisit it regularly to make sure you're staying on track. This means checking in on your finances at least once a week. By reviewing your spending habits and your financial goals, you can make sure that lifestyle inflation and irregular expenses aren't sneaking up on you. There are plenty of tools and apps available to help you stay on top of your budget. From simple spreadsheets to advanced financial tracking software, find a system that works for you and stick with it. Many apps allow you to categorize your spending, set financial goals, and even receive alerts when you're close to exceeding your budget. It's also important to remember that budgeting is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Your financial situation is unique, and your budget should reflect that. Some months may require you to adjust your spending, and that's okay. Flexibility is key to managing your money successfully. When things don't go as planned, don't be discouraged. Instead, focus on finding a solution and making any necessary adjustments. In the end, managing lifestyle inflation and irregular expenses is all about being proactive. By staying mindful of your spending habits, planning for the unexpected, and actively tracking your progress, you can keep your budget under control and work toward achieving your long-term financial goals. So, the next time you get that raise or face an unexpected expense, remember that you have the tools to stay on track. Now you're ready to take charge of your financial future. With these strategies in place, you'll be better equipped to handle the ups and downs of budgeting while keeping your eyes on your bigger financial goals.